Captain Marcus Kane stepped off the shuttle onto the pale, rocky surface of Zelara, a planet in the distant Trion star system. The wind whipped around him, carrying a faint metallic scent from the mineral-rich soil. Marcus had seen many worlds before, but there was something unsettling about Zelara. It was quiet. Too quiet. The once vibrant cities were mostly empty, with only a few guards patrolling the marble plazas. He adjusted the strap of his tactical bag and scanned the horizon. His mission was simple in theory: negotiate peace between the warring factions of the Zelari people. In practice, it was anything but simple. Zelara had been torn by internal conflicts for decades. Two powerful factions had fought over control of the central government, and the people were tired of war. The Zelari themselves were a delicate-looking race, with elongated limbs, pale, luminescent skin, and wide, expressive eyes. They had advanced technology far beyond human standards. But their society was fragile, easily shaken by fear and ambition. Marcus had come as a neutral mediator, though he knew that neutrality was a luxury few could afford in the midst of conflict. As he made his way toward the capital, he noticed movement in the shadows of a nearby alley. A figure, tall and graceful, stepped forward, her robes flowing like liquid silver. Her skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight, and her eyes held both fear and determination. Marcus immediately recognized her as someone of importance. Only the high-ranking Zelari carried themselves with such poise. "You are far from your people, human," she said in a melodic voice, one that carried authority despite its softness. Marcus straightened. "I am Captain Marcus Kane of Earth. I have been sent to help bring peace." The Zelari woman studied him carefully. "Peace?" she echoed. "Many have tried and failed. Why should I believe you are different?" Marcus gave a small shrug. "I don't ask you to believe me. I ask you to judge by actions, not words." The woman's eyes softened slightly, but the tension did not leave her posture. "I am Princess Lyra. You have come at a difficult time. My people, they do not trust outsiders. And now, I cannot even trust my own court." Marcus's brow furrowed. He had dealt with difficult leaders before, but something about Lyra's voice made him pause. There was desperation there, but not weakness. It was a quiet strength, the kind that inspired others even when they were afraid. "I am here to help," Marcus said, keeping his tone firm but calm. "Tell me what has happened." Lyra glanced around nervously before lowering her voice. "A coup is brewing. Some in my court want to seize control while I am away. They see humans as a threat, and they will do anything to drive you off, or worse. I cannot stop them alone." Her voice trembled slightly, and Marcus noticed a flash of fear in her eyes. "You don't have to face it alone," he said. "I have experience in conflict resolution, and if needed, in defense." Lyra's expression shifted. She seemed to struggle with whether to trust him. "I cannot live without a male by my side. To protect me," she said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus froze. The words were strange, almost archaic in their phrasing. But he sensed no romantic implication. This was a cultural expression, a plea for protection and loyalty. "I understand," he said simply. "I will stand by you. But we need to act carefully. Your enemies are watching." Lyra nodded, relief flickering across her face. She motioned for him to follow her, and together they moved through the silent city toward the royal palace. As they walked, Marcus observed the architecture. The Xelari were masters of elegant design, with towers that spiraled like seashells and bridges that shimmered with energy fields. Yet beneath the beauty, there was a tension that seemed to vibrate in the very air. At the palace gates, a pair of Zelari guards stepped forward, weapons raised. Lyra raised her hand in greeting, and they relaxed slightly but did not lower their guard. "Captain Kane," she said, "my people may not accept your presence immediately. We must proceed with caution. Marcus nodded. Understood. Let's start by meeting those who are loyal to you. We need allies if we are to face what comes next. Inside the palace, Lyra led him through a series of grand halls, each adorned with intricate murals depicting the history of her people. They passed a vast library, filled with glowing texts and holographic displays. Marcus noted the efficiency and sophistication of Zelari knowledge. Humans had achieved much. But here was a civilization that had reached heights humans had only dreamed of. Yet, their struggles were familiar: power, fear, and the threat of betrayal. Finally, they reached a private chamber, where a small group of Lyra's advisors waited. They eyed Marcus with suspicion, whispers filling the air. Lyra spoke first. "These are my loyal advisors. Captain Kane has come to help. I trust him, and I hope you can as well." One of the advisors, a stern-looking Zelari with angular features, stepped forward. "Your Highness, humans are unpredictable. We cannot simply allow one into our affairs." Marcus held up his hands. "I am not here to take sides. I am here to prevent bloodshed and protect those in danger. Judge me by what I do, not by what you fear I might do." The room fell silent. Lyra glanced at him, her expression hopeful but wary. "We must move quickly. The coup may begin at any moment," she said. Marcus leaned forward, his experience guiding him. "Then, we start by preparing. First, we secure the palace. Then, we gather intelligence on those plotting against you. Timing will be our advantage. Fear and chaos are tools, but only if we act with precision." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. There was a spark of admiration there. And perhaps something else. A recognition that humans, though different, possessed a resilience and cunning that could change the course of events. For the first time in weeks, she felt a measure of hope. She was not alone. And for the first time, Marcus understood why humans could inspire trust. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were persistent, adaptable, and willing to stand firm when others faltered. As night fell over the city of Zelara, Marcus and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The stars shone brightly, distant suns glimmering across the alien sky. "We have much to do," Marcus said quietly. Lyra nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "And we have little time. Go." Marcus glanced at her, sensing both determination and fear. "Then, we start tomorrow. Step by step. Together. One start tomorrow." In that moment, an unspoken bond formed between them, not of romance, but of trust and loyalty. Marcus knew the days ahead would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. But he was ready. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and now, far from Earth, among the stars, humans would show once again what they were capable of. The morning sun rose over Zelara, casting a pale golden light on the palace spires. Captain Marcus Kane awoke early, already thinking through the day's plan. He had spent the night reviewing maps of the palace, noting possible entrances and exits, and memorizing the layouts of corridors and guard stations. The Zelari were highly organized, but Marcus knew that structure could be both an advantage and a weakness. Human tactics often relied on observation, adaptation, and using unexpected strategies. He was determined to apply every lesson he had learned in the military to protect Princess Lyra and secure peace. Lyra entered the room, her robes flowing like water as she moved with grace. Her eyes were heavy with worry, but she tried to mask it with a polite smile. "Good morning, Captain," she said softly. "The advisors are awaiting your counsel." Marcus nodded. "Good morning, Princess. Let's go." As they walked through the palace, Marcus noticed the subtle signs of unease. Guards glanced over their shoulders, whispers traveled through corridors, and the loyal advisors seemed tense. Marcus understood the stakes. A coup was not just a threat to Lyra, it was a threat to the stability of her entire world. In the council chamber, a semicircle of Zilari advisors waited. Marcus stepped forward, offering a calm, confident presence. "We need to assess the situation logically," he began. "Fear and suspicion will only make the problem worse. First, we identify who is loyal and who is plotting against the princess. Second, we secure key locations in the palace to prevent surprise attacks. Third, we plan for negotiation and defense." The advisors exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a tall Zilari with silver hair, spoke. "And what if the rebels strike before we can prepare? Your human methods may not work here." Marcus met his gaze steadily. "Every strategy has risks, but humans have survived far worse. We act with precision, observation, and timing. We do not need to match the enemy in strength, only in thinking ahead." Lyra watched him closely. There was something about Marcus that the Xelari did not often see in their visitors. Calm determination, combined with practical intelligence. She had spent her life surrounded by advisors who were cautious, polite, and often indecisive. Marcus's presence was a shock of clarity. Over the next few hours, Marcus worked with the palace staff and guards. He divided them into small teams, giving each clear objectives. Some were to monitor entrances and patrol the perimeter. Others were to keep watch over important chambers where the princess might be vulnerable. Marcus taught them simple methods humans used: silent signals, pre-arranged codes, and contingency plans. At first, the Zilari were skeptical. But as they practiced, they began to see the logic. Human ideas were straightforward and effective, and that was something the Zilari had not always appreciated. Lyra stayed close, observing every move. "Your ways are simple," she said quietly, "but I see they are strong. Why do humans survive in wars when so many others fall?" Marcus paused. "We rely on more than strength or technology. We rely on flexibility, observation, and trust in those who stand beside us. We learn from mistakes quickly, and we never give up, even when the odds are against us." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and hope. She had seen leaders who relied on tradition, who feared change. Marcus relied on people, on adaptability. It was a lesson she wanted to carry into her own rule. By midday, the first signs of unrest appeared. Reports came from the outer courtyards. A group of palace guards had refused orders, speaking in hushed tones about loyalty to another faction. Marcus moved quickly, instructing his teams to subtly monitor the suspicious guards without causing alarm. The Zilari advisors were tense, but Marcus's calm demeanor helped them stay focused. When Lyra saw him directing the operation, she felt a sense of relief. Marcus did not rely on fear or authority alone. He relied on planning, clarity, and teamwork. She realized that humans could inspire loyalty in ways that mere power could not. As afternoon came, Marcus arranged a private meeting with Lyra. They stood in a quiet balcony overlooking the palace gardens, the alien flora glowing softly under Zalara's twin suns. "Princess, the palace is mostly secure," he said, "but the real challenge is winning hearts and minds. If the rebels feel unsupported, they will act out of fear and anger. We need to show them stability, fairness, and strength." Lyra listened intently. "And how do we do that without starting a war?" Marcus smiled faintly. "We show that we are prepared, but not aggressive. We protect without threatening. We communicate clearly and firmly. Humans often rely on surprise, observation, and moral strength. That combination can prevent violence before it begins." Lyra nodded slowly, absorbing every word. She realized that Marcus was teaching her not just how to survive a coup, but how to lead a people. Leadership was more than authority, it was patience, wisdom, and courage. By evening, the first rebels made their move. They tried to infiltrate the palace through the gardens, believing the humans and loyal Zalari would not expect it. Marcus had anticipated this. His teams were ready. Silent signals exchanged. Positions taken, without alerting the attackers. The confrontation was brief but decisive. The rebels were quickly surrounded and disarmed, confused by the human strategies they had not considered. Marcus coordinated calmly, ensuring no one was hurt unnecessarily. The palace guards watched in amazement, realizing that humans could not only fight, but outthink even the most cunning opponents. After the confrontation, Lyra approached Marcus. "I have never seen anyone act so decisively and without unnecessary violence," she said. "Your presence changes everything." Marcus shook his head slightly. "It is not about being different. It is about using what you have, thinking ahead, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That is something anyone can learn. Humans just practice it a lot." Lyra smiled. A small but genuine expression of relief. "Then I am lucky to have you by my side. I see now that when you said you would protect me, you meant it in every way." Marcus nodded. "We will get through this together, step by step." As night fell, Marcus stood on the balcony, watching the stars. The Zalari city below seemed quiet again, but he knew the danger was not gone. Political tensions ran deep, and the palace was only the beginning. But he also knew something else. Humans had a way of turning impossible situations into victories, and that strength could inspire even the most cautious alien civilizations. Lyra joined him, silent for a moment, looking up at the sky. "I feel safer with you here," she said softly. "Not just because of your skills, but because you see things differently. You make me believe that Zelara can survive, even when all hope seems lost." Marcus gave a small nod. "That is what humans do. We survive. We adapt. And we stand for those who need help. That is who we are." Together, they stood in silence, the cool night air brushing past them. The palace was secure for now, but the coming days would test them both. Yet, Marcus felt certain that humanity's combination of courage, ingenuity, and loyalty would leave a mark on Zelara, a mark that could change the fate of an entire planet. For the first time since arriving, Lyra felt hope, and for the first time, Marcus realized that even in a world far from Earth, humans could still inspire trust, respect, and courage among alien civilizations. The next morning, the palace was quiet, almost too quiet. Captain Marcus Kane moved through the halls with careful precision, alert to every sound. Even though the immediate threat had been stopped, Marcus knew that enemies often struck not in open battle, but in subtle, clever ways. The palace, impressive as it was, could hide secrets in its twisting corridors, and he intended to find them. Princess Lyra followed him closely, her eyes filled with both trust and concern. "Do you think the rebels are finished?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "No. They've lost the first battle, but they are not defeated. A true threat is patient. They will wait, plan, and try again. We need to be ready." Lyra nodded. She had spent her life surrounded by court intrigue, but she had never seen someone so calm and practical in the face of danger. Marcus's presence gave her a strange sense of comfort, as if knowing he was there could make any danger smaller, even if it was not gone. Marcus began organizing patrols and observation points. He divided the loyal guards into small teams, each responsible for a specific part of the palace. He taught them to watch for subtle signs, unusual movements, whispered conversations, and unexplained absences. Humans often relied on observation and deduction more than sheer force. And Marcus demonstrated this method patiently. While the guards trained and practiced, Marcus met with Lyra privately. "Princess, we must also consider the hearts of your people," he said. "Even those who are loyal may hesitate if they feel uncertain. We need to show them calm leadership and fairness. Fear alone will not win loyalty. Lyra listened, impressed. She had often relied on traditional displays of power, showing strength to gain respect. Marcus's approach was different. It was subtle, intelligent, and patient. He did not demand obedience. He earned it through clear reasoning and action. By mid-afternoon, reports began to arrive. A small group of palace workers had disappeared, and some advisors were acting strangely. Marcus gathered the loyal Zilari and moved quietly through the palace, observing without being seen. It was a skill he had honed on Earth, in conflicts where timing and strategy mattered more than brute strength. In one shadowed corridor, Marcus noticed a faint trail of energy signatures, the type used by Zilari to communicate silently. He crouched and examined the patterns. "They are using secret codes to plan something," he muttered. "We need to act quickly, but carefully." Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. "How do we stop them without starting a fight?" Marcus smiled faintly. "We outsmart them. Humans have survived countless conflicts because we think ahead, not just react. If we anticipate their moves, we can prevent violence before it begins." Over the next few hours, Marcus and the loyal Xilari set their plan in motion. Using hidden observation posts and silent signals, they monitored the suspicious advisors and palace workers. Every movement was tracked, every conversation overheard. The palace became a web of quiet strategy, where every loyal member knew their role, and every rebel was unknowingly observed. By evening, the situation came to a head. A group of conspirators attempted to breach the central council chamber, hoping to capture Princess Lyra, while most guards were distracted. Marcus had anticipated this. His teams were in position, silent and ready. The rebels moved swiftly, but Marcus's human strategies were faster. He had arranged for subtle diversions, guiding them into narrow corridors where they could be contained without confrontation. The loyal guards, trained in human observation and timing, intercepted them quietly. There was no need for violence. The rebels found themselves trapped, confused by the unexpected tactics. Lyra watched from a safe distance, amazed. She had seen palace guards react in fear before, but now she saw discipline, intelligence, and calm strategy in action. Humans, she realized, were not just strong. They were clever in ways the Zilari had rarely witnessed. After the confrontation, Marcus gathered the loyal Zilari. "This is not about punishment," he said. "It is about teaching them that cleverness and patience are more powerful than fear. We show them fairness and strength at the same time. That is how we lead." The Xilari nodded, their eyes reflecting a growing respect. For the first time, many saw humans not as outsiders, but as allies who could think and act in ways that complemented their own skills. Marcus's approach was shaping the palace not through fear, but through example, intelligence, and courage. Lyra approached Marcus afterward, her expression thoughtful. "I see now that humans survive not because we are the strongest, but because we think ahead and protect what is important," she said. "You have shown me a new way to lead my people, not through force, but through trust, strategy, and patience." Marcus nodded. "Exactly. Strength alone is not enough. We must use our minds, our experience, and our courage. That is how humans have endured across the stars." As the night settled over the palace, Lyra stood beside Marcus on the balcony again. The twin moons of Zilara cast silver light across the city, reflecting in her wide, thoughtful eyes. "I cannot imagine surviving this without you," she admitted quietly. Marcus looked at her steadily. "You are stronger than you realize, but even the strongest sometimes need support. Humans are good at being that support, especially when the stakes are high." Together, they watched the city below. The palace was quiet again. But Marcus knew the danger was far from over. Political tension ran deep, and the rebels were not finished. Yet, with careful observation, planning, and the human way of thinking ahead, the threat could be neutralized without unnecessary bloodshed. Lyra felt a sense of confidence she had never known. She had feared betrayal, chaos, and the collapse of her rule. Now, with Marcus guiding her and teaching her a different way to approach leadership, hope returned. She realized that humans could inspire not only courage but trust, fairness, and a new perspective on survival. Marcus, standing beside her, felt the weight of responsibility, but also a quiet satisfaction. Humanity had always faced challenges and found ways to endure, adapt, and thrive. Here on Zilara, millions of light-years from Earth, the same principles applied. Humans could not only survive, they could help others survive, too. The palace, once threatened by internal betrayal, now stood as a symbol of calm order and intelligence. Marcus had shown that even in the most delicate political situations, careful planning, observation, and loyalty could make all the difference. Lyra and her people were learning that lesson quickly, and Marcus knew that this was only the beginning. In the quiet night, Lyra looked up at the stars, a small smile on her face. "We can do this," she whispered. "With your guidance, Captain Kane, we can protect Zilara and bring peace." Marcus gave a small nod, feeling the same conviction. "Step by step, Princess. We take it one step at a time. Humanity has faced far worse, and together, we will show that courage, intelligence, and loyalty can change the fate of an entire world." And for the first time since his arrival, Marcus felt that Zilara's future was not only survivable, it was full of potential. Humanity, even here among alien stars, could inspire hope, strategy, and endurance that no enemy could easily overcome. The days following the failed coup passed in tense anticipation. Captain Marcus Kane had strengthened the palace's defenses, trained the loyal Zilari, and established lines of communication to monitor any suspicious activity. But he knew that internal threats were only part of the danger. Zilara's neighboring factions, long observing the palace's unrest, might see this as an opportunity to strike. Marcus was aware that humans had a long history of preparing for every possible scenario, and he applied that skill here with meticulous care. Princess Lyra moved beside him through the palace corridors, walking with the same graceful authority she always carried, but now with an added air of confidence. "Do you really think they will attack us?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "I don't know." Lyra nodded. She had learned from Marcus that leadership was not just about ruling with power. It was about observing, adapting, and guiding others with calm intelligence. Humans approached problems differently than the Xelari. They analyzed, tested, and anticipated. It was a method that promised success without unnecessary conflict. That evening, Marcus organized a series of drills with the palace guards. He taught them to move silently, to recognize subtle signs of danger, and to act in unison without needing orders shouted across the hall. The Zilari were initially skeptical. Their society valued elegance and precision, but they had rarely trained for unpredictable situations. Marcus's insistence on adaptability and rapid thinking was a revelation. "You move differently than your people," Lyra said, watching a group of guards maneuver through the halls. "You teach them to think, not just follow orders." Marcus nodded. "Humans have survived because we do more than follow rules. We adapt to situations. We solve problems before they become disasters. And we rely on each other." Lyra looked at him thoughtfully. "Your ways give me hope. I see that we can defend ourselves without losing honor or our values." Marcus smiled faintly. "Exactly. Strength is important, but intelligence, planning, and loyalty are just as vital. That is how humans endure. That is how we lead effectively. Late in the night, a messenger arrived with troubling news. Scouts reported unusual activity near the palace perimeter, ships approaching from the nearby sector. Marcus immediately convened the advisors. "This could be a coordinated strike," he said. "We cannot know for certain. We prepare for the worst, while hoping for the best." The loyal Zilari moved quickly under his direction. Defensive positions were strengthened, observation drones deployed, and escape routes secured. Marcus emphasized calm and precision. Panic could destroy more than an enemy ever could. The rebels within the palace would have no advantage if everyone acted logically and efficiently. Princess Lyra stayed close, observing Marcus as he issued instructions. She had never seen such clear and steady leadership in her life. "It is strange," she said quietly, "how a human can inspire trust without demanding it. Your confidence spreads to those around you." Marcus glanced at her. "Leadership is not about demands. It is about preparation, fairness, and courage. People follow those who can guide them safely through danger." As the first ships entered the planet's atmosphere, Marcus coordinated the palace defenses. The ships moved slowly, testing the perimeter, but Marcus was ready. He had analyzed their possible strategies, predicted their maneuvers, and prepared countermeasures. The auxiliary, trained by Marcus, executed the plan flawlessly. Shields were reinforced, patrols deployed, and the palace remained secure. The attackers, seeing the unexpected organization and precision, hesitated. Lyra watched in amazement as Marcus directed every movement, not with anger or force, but with calm intelligence. Each action was deliberate, efficient, and effective. "Your human methods are incredible," she whispered. "Even our enemies are cautious because of you." Marcus shrugged modestly. "We survive because we think ahead. Planning, observation, and loyalty, these are our tools. And they work even among alien societies." By dawn, the ships retreated. No attack launched. Marcus had not only defended the palace, but also sent a clear message. The Zilari were no easy target, especially with humans guiding their strategy. The loyal advisors and guards looked to Marcus with respect, seeing for the first time that humans were not merely outsiders. They were protectors and teachers. In the quiet after the retreat, Marcus and Lyra stood on the balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The twin moons of Zilara reflected silver light across the flowers and fountains. "You have changed the way my people see humans," Lyra said softly. "We once feared outsiders, but now we see strength, wisdom, and hope." Marcus nodded. "Humans survive because we combine courage with intelligence. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is something that works anywhere, even far from Earth." Lyra smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "And I cannot imagine surviving these days without you here. You have become more than a protector. You are a guide, a teacher, and a friend." Marcus looked at her, feeling the quiet satisfaction of a mission well executed. "I am here to help, Princess. Together, we will face whatever comes next. Humanity has always endured, and we can help your people endure too." In the following days, Marcus continued training the palace guards and advisors. He emphasized the importance of teamwork, trust, and observation. The Zilari learned quickly, adapting to human methods without losing their elegance or cultural identity. Lyra watched as her people gained confidence, realizing that Marcus's approach was reshaping not only the palace, but the hearts and minds of those around him. The palace, once a place of fear and uncertainty, now radiated order, strength, and calm. Marcus had shown that intelligence, courage, and moral strength could achieve what brute force alone could not. The rebels had been neutralized, the palace defended, and the people inspired. The combination of human ingenuity and Zilari skill had created a force that was ready for any challenge. Late one evening, Marcus and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. The air was cool, filled with the scent of alien blossoms. "Captain Kane," Lyra said softly, "you have taught me more than I ever imagined. Your ways give me hope for my people, and for myself." Marcus smiled. Leadership is about helping others see their own strength. Humans have survived for countless years because we protect, plan, and adapt. That is what we are good at. And now, we can share that with your people. Lyra looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of peace she had not known in months. "I cannot imagine Zilara surviving without your guidance," she admitted. "You have shown that even in a world far from Earth, humans can inspire hope, courage, and change." Marcus nodded. "And that is what we will continue to do. Step by step, day by day. Humanity has faced impossible odds before, and we always find a way. That is the lesson we bring to any world we touch." As they walked back toward the palace, Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose. With Marcus by her side, she knew that Zilara could survive, grow, and thrive. Humans had shown that courage, intelligence, and loyalty could overcome fear, betrayal, and chaos. And with those qualities guiding them, the future seemed brighter than it had in years. Marcus watched the twin moons reflect on the palace fountains, knowing that the days ahead would bring new challenges. But he also knew that humans had a way of turning challenges into opportunities, teaching lessons through courage, thought, and action. The Zilari were learning that now, and the future of the planet was changing because of it. Weeks passed since the failed coup, and Zilara's palace gradually returned to a steady rhythm. Captain Marcus Kane had fully integrated himself into the daily life of the palace. Not as an outsider, but as a trusted advisor and protector. Princess Lyra moved with renewed confidence, her steps lighter, her decisions sharper. The lessons she had learned from Marcus were evident in everything she did. From commanding her guards to meeting with her advisors, human ingenuity had become a guiding influence, and the Xelari were beginning to embrace it. Yet Marcus knew that peace was never permanent. Even with internal threats neutralized, the neighboring factions of Zilara watched closely, waiting for any sign of weakness. They were powerful, ambitious, and willing to exploit fear. Marcus spent long hours in the strategy room, analyzing data from satellites, communication networks, and the scouts he had trained. He plotted possible attack routes, created contingencies, and ensured that the palace could respond to any threat. Lyra joined him one evening as he studied a holographic map of the planet. "Captain Kane," she said softly, "I have never seen anyone prepare so thoroughly. Your planning makes me feel safer than ever before." Marcus looked at her calmly. "Safety is not just about walls and weapons, Princess. It is about knowledge, preparation, and anticipation. Humans survive because we think ahead and act decisively. That same principle can protect your people." Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You have shown me that leadership is not only about courage, but also about wisdom and patience. You have changed the way I see my responsibilities." Days later, scouts reported movement in the northern sector, an approaching fleet from one of the neighboring systems. Marcus reviewed the data carefully. The fleet was large but not fully prepared for coordinated resistance. "This is the moment we have trained for," he said. "The palace is ready, and your people are ready. We only need to act with calm and precision." Lyra stood beside him, her eyes steady. "Do you think we can really hold them off?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Not only hold them off, we can show them that Zilara is strong, clever, and united. Humans survive by turning challenges into opportunities. We will do the same here." As the fleet entered Zilara's orbit, Marcus implemented a strategy that combined Zilari technology with human tactics. Observation drones tracked the incoming ships, defensive shields were strategically deployed, and elite guard units moved silently to key positions. Marcus's instructions were clear, precise, and adaptable. The auxiliary followed without hesitation, trusting the human veteran who had become their guide. The fleet attempted to probe the defenses, sending smaller attack ships toward the palace perimeter. Marcus anticipated their moves, directing the loyal Zilari to create diversions, guide enemy ships into controlled zones, and neutralize threats without unnecessary damage. The attackers were cautious, confused by the unexpected coordination of human strategy and Zilari technology. Princess Lyra watched from the control chamber, awe in her eyes. "Your methods work even better than I imagined," she said. "The attackers do not understand what they face. They are outmatched by intelligence, not just weapons." Marcus nodded. "Strength can be measured in many ways. Planning, observation, and adaptability are as powerful as shields or weapons. Humans have always survived by using their minds as much as their bodies." As night fell, the attackers began to withdraw, unable to breach the palace defenses. Marcus had not only protected the palace, but had sent a clear message to all who might challenge Xalara. This planet was united, prepared, and led by both Xalari and humans. The loyal advisors and guards looked to Marcus with respect, seeing in him the qualities of a leader who inspired loyalty without fear. After the fleet had retreated, Lyra approached Marcus in the palace gardens. The twin moons reflected silver light across the fountains, and the alien flora glowed softly. "Captain Kane," she said, "I cannot thank you enough. You have not only protected me, but also taught me how to lead. My people respect humans now, because of you." Marcus shook his head. "It is not about me, Princess. It is about showing what humans can do when they act with courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Your people have seen that. They now know that we protect, adapt, and survive together." Lyra smiled, a warmth in her eyes that spoke of gratitude and hope. "I cannot imagine Zalara without your guidance. You have helped us survive, and you have shown me that leadership can be both strong and wise." Marcus looked at her, feeling a quiet satisfaction. "We have survived because we work together. That is what humans do, and it can be done anywhere." In the following days, Marcus helped Lyra implement new policies in the palace. The advisors learned to combine Zilari wisdom with human strategy. The palace guards became highly efficient, blending Zilari elegance with human tactics. The people of Zilara, once fearful and uncertain, now looked to their leaders with confidence and hope. Marcus's influence had transformed not just the palace but the society itself. Lyra spent long hours with Marcus, learning the principles that had allowed humans to endure across centuries. They studied diplomacy, strategy, and leadership together. Marcus never demanded loyalty. He inspired it by example. His calm intelligence, courage, and fairness earned the respect of everyone he encountered. One evening, Lyra and Marcus walked along the palace terraces, overlooking the city. The stars sparkled brightly, distant suns glimmering across the alien sky. "You have given us more than protection," Lyra said softly. "You have given us hope, strategy, and a new way to live. Zilara is stronger because of you." Marcus looked at her with quiet resolve. "Humans endure because we protect, adapt, and inspire. We survive, not alone, but by working together. That is something I have shared with your people, and it will guide Zilara for years to come." Lyra smiled, her heart filled with gratitude. "I cannot imagine a day without your guidance, Captain Kane. You have become more than a protector. You are a teacher, a leader, and a friend." Marcus nodded, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had rarely known. He had come to Xalara as a human outsider, a veteran among strangers. But now, he was part of something greater, He had shown that humanity, through courage, intelligence, and loyalty, could leave a lasting impact even among alien worlds. As the twin moons reflected on the palace fountains, Marcus and Lyra stood together, a symbol of unity between humans and Zilari. The palace, once threatened by betrayal and invasion, now radiated strength, wisdom, and calm order. Humans had not only survived, they had inspired, protected, and transformed a world far from their home. The future of Zilara looked bright. Lyra's people had learned that leadership could combine wisdom with courage, strategy with loyalty, and tradition with innovation. And humans, through Marcus Kane, had shown that their influence could extend across the stars, turning challenges into opportunities and inspiring hope wherever they went. Together, Marcus and Lyra gazed at the horizon, knowing that whatever challenges might come next, they could face them united. Humanity's strength, intelligence, and perseverance had left a mark on Zilara, and the bond between human and Zilari promised a future of cooperation, growth, and enduring peace. In that moment, far from Earth, among alien stars, a human veteran and an alien princess stood together, proving that courage, strategy, and loyalty could change the fate of a world, and that hope, once shared, could last forever.